the canoe coming in, and everybody was doing this. Yeah. So we know we're screwed already. because you're making your novice steersman's life hell. Right? If two guys in the front doing it this way, very strong, the other two women on the other side not very strong, you know the boat's going to keep going this way. Yes? Yeah. So your steersman is going trying to counter that, right? So the steersman, instead of being a 6-man crew, you have a 5-man crew. Agree?
With
right?
dead weight.
That's how you lose a race. So I love paddling. The only reason I paddle in team because I happen to be able to paddle with Bruce Ayau, who's probably one of the best steersmen in the world. He never, well, if you've watched the race video, he rarely ever pokes, right? There's no poking. You are paddle, right? Because if your crew is paddling straight, you make your job, steersman's job a lot easier. He doesn't have to poke, because every time you poke, what are you doing? You're stopping the boat and turning, right? So don't poke. So if the more disciplined your crew, can I borrow your pen? The goal, the ultimate goal all the time, whether in a 1-man or the 6-man, is to have both sides of the boat paddle moving vertically, yes? Rarely does this happen. So don't feel bad about it. All our racing crews on all the other clubs, rarely does this happen, right? The goal is to get it away from this, incrementally get it to more to this. Yes? Yes? And then some people say, well, this is unique to Outrigger because I'm telling you. So don't be non-existent, right? Because even in, I'm one of the few guys that does the SURFSKIs. And the reason why I took up SURFSKI, I realized when in Outrigger, I tend to lean on my left cheek too much on the Outrigger. We all do that on a 6-man. Because when you get out your 1-man, that's why your left butt hurts. Because what you're doing is you're clamping down on that, either your sciatic nerve or that big artery that goes down your butt muscle. You just stop blood flow. That's why then you can't feel your feet, right? So I like doing the SURFSKI because I never feel that. Because in the SURFSKI, most people come from a recreational kayak background. They paddle like this. Guess what? In the canoe and they also paddle like this. So what they don't realize in a big fat classic kayak is good reflexes. So you're waddling through the water. So if your canoe is waddling through the water, you're making your life so much difficult. You got to put the effort into it. The effort into going fast in a straight line. This physics. If you are, I tell people, most of the guys I train, you always want to have what I call a marker, your point. Your maximum deflection of your nose of your canoe should be 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock maximum. That's bad already, right? Because if you're doing the Molokai Channel race, this deflection will cost you 3 miles. It's a 41-mile race, right? 10% deflection will result in a 10% increase in distance. 20% deflection, 30% extra distance. So you're gonna kill yourself. So what if you look at Olympic kayaking at the Olympics and top SURFSKI, the blade is also entering vertically. It's not this. You see people who don't know how to do it this way. Because what I'm trying to impress upon you is a universality to biomechanics and physiology and physics of all moving hulls in the water. There's no exception to the tool. That's just that, 1-man. Some people paddle different than 1-man. I say, why? You're working in the same ocean with the same physics of hydrodynamics. So I don't want you to tell me, this is a different stuff. No. The physics of it doesn't change. So if you're paddling correctly, the blade catches here. In SURFSKI, if you pull it past your knee, you're screwed. Because you see, just like an outrigger canoe blade, maximum, okay, we'll go back. What you're trying to do in any watercraft, let's tie the physics of the boat to the biomechanics of the human body. The best way for the boat to go fast is what? Get more of the hull out of the water, right? Are we agree? Mm-hmm. Then you can plane easier, you paddle easier. So that's why in a dead start in a regatta, you take big stroke to get the boat up. That's why I thought, let's lift the boat and plane. So I'm talking to Leila too because she's a competitive paddler. She understands this, right? You take 3 big strokes to lift the boat, right? And that stroke, the first 3 strokes, if you yank with your bottom hump, all you're doing is just making big air bubble, the boat's not lifting. You are sinking. That's why the first strokes are all traction, very little speed. It's all to get the boat up and moving forward. Once you're moving forward, right, maximum lift is achieved from 45 degrees to 90 degrees, right? What we tend to do, I just watch that, is to do this, right? It's not a style thing, it's physics. Once you hit what I call the vertical position, it's like the neutral gear. You're done already. If you persist in pulling it back, now you're lifting water. Yes? Now you're sinking the boat. So I see a lot of you folks are thinking you're helping your crew out by doing this. I want to help out. I know, but you're killing them, right? So when we sit down on the canoe, right? The theory behind paddling faster is you want to be able to grab it here, and once it gets to your knee, it's time to come out, right? When it gets to your butt, you're screwed. I mean, look at the physics of this here. The reason why the canoe blade has an angle, I tell people, unlike river canoes, they are straight shafted, right? Why is it the bend? Because this is not a water scooper. If it was water scooper, we'd be paddling it this way, yes? Right? And then I also use stand up as an example, because the problem with outrigger canoe blades is so short, you can get away with anything. The reason why I always fix a lot of canoe paddlers with outriggers, you can't yank this long shaft. This is just physics. This requires so much more power, right? You can't pull. You actually pull yourself down. I fix a lot of outrigger paddles by making them stand up. Make a lot of stand paddles for doing outrigger. They kind of work on each other. And then once you're an advanced student, I say, okay, now you're leaning on your ass. That's when you get back to using the SURFSKI, right? Because a SURFSKI blade, if you think about it, it's just like a helicopter blade spinning this way. This is a very efficient way to move, right? So instead of thinking of you moving the blade, because when you're in a canoe, think of yourself, I mean, you guys are in a generation where you know what a subway is, because when I talk to the younger folks, what's a subway? A sandwich? No. Underground train station. There's a crowded train. There's no seats. There are the vertical poles, right? Standing by the pole, right? The pole is vertical because that's the only way you can support the roof. If the pole is slightly off, the roof will collapse. Right? You're either pregnant or not pregnant. Right? It's a 1 or a 0. So, what do we, can you hold this for me? Just hold it in place. And you hold this. Right? So, if I'm sitting in a canoe or in a SURFSKI, basically I'm always initiating my stroke like this or like this. It's basically this. You see that rotation? Right? It doesn't matter. So I'm on this side and this way, and I change stroke to this side. So what I'm really doing is, once I'm planting, think of it, I'm moving myself around this stationary pole. Stop thinking of pulling water to you. It's like I'm sitting down in a subway seat and I'm trying to get up off it. That's why it's always lifted. It's this. The pull-up bar is just a different angle. The same thing. Because you are sitting on a canoe. You want to create lift? Let's lift. 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 And then how to finish the blade off, right? You're trying to get it past you. Once it hits your hip, it's done. Definitely done. Now, this, yeah, you can let it go. Going back to the physics of the blade. What most people cannot do is because they get it so fast to this position, right? If you talk about paddling square, right? I see all of you paddling, sit down with you. This is one I'm square. There's no rotation on the shoulder, no rotation on the hip. So that takes so little because you're not really sitting like that, you're sitting like that. So there's ample opportunity to rotate forward. But none of you do, they're all paddling like this. Right? So let's go through the physics of it. Why your range of mobility completely limits your stroke length. The stroke length is not limited, not done by pulling it further back. Let's agree on one thing here. If you want to keep the boat moving, I have heard other coaches talk about, and I mean those are advanced teams. They try to, just because you're a top paddler doesn't mean you know how to teach properly, because teaching is about communications, right? So all I'm trying to say to you is, they are better paddlers, but you got to explain in a way that you guys got to buy into. Because it's like religion. You don't buy until you can read all the Bible you want, but you don't believe. It's just for show. So let's agree on some points of physics. The longer the blade stays moving in the water, the longer the boat keeps moving, yes? The minute you take the blade out, it's decelerating. The minute you take it out, it's decelerating. Agree? Yes. Right. So, the current competitive programs, we are doing, the old days we used to paddle fast and go back, return slow. Because we're trying to depend on the glide. That works really good when you're doing a downwind run. Yes?
Yeah.
I mean, all of us ex-kayak pool members will remember the old days, 20 years ago, work fast, relax, slow, right?
Yeah.
Yes? The problem, I mean, that works on a downwind run, yes, because you're resting. Yeah, we do that, right? We bring our stroke rate down from 68 to 52 because we're on a big bump. But that ends quickly, lasts about 5 seconds, right? And then go, oh, next one, right? So you got to have a flexibility because we understand the physics of it. Because what we're really doing is like, as long as the blade is moving through the water, it's not moving slow, right? Let's talk about relativity, right? If your blade is moving faster than the canoe is moving the other way, you create a cavitation bubble in the blade. Agree?
Right.
That's why you lost traction. You can generate a lot of power. I mean, you can use a lot of energy to make that cavitation bubble. You know, when like this paddle, just like the board we make is used called vacuum bagging. You use vacuum to suck this down to make it. It's very strong force. Well, it's very hard and it takes a lot of energy to make a vacuum bubble in the water. You can hear it when we do this. You can hear the slurping down, right? Because water's flowing around the front of the blade to fill in the hole that you made. It's because you have, the common term is because you have no water feel, right? The difference between an advanced paddler and a non-advanced paddler, it's got nothing to do with fitness. I see a lot of fit guys that left in the bushes. And then I see some, you know, Aaron Napoleon is a perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
He's like got a pot belly, he drinks too much, he's actually drinking way too much. When you do a one-man race, you're gonna come in 5th.
Oh, yeah.
And the guys who are super fit, like, come in 25th. Why? Because he's got such good water fuel. He milks every ounce of motion the ocean will give you. So you gotta learn to always have that blade engaged in the water. So never move the blade faster than the water allows you. It's not slow. You're basically doing the contra direction speed. The boat moving four knots this way, the blade better be moving 4 knots. That's where you get to the Zen moment, like, oh my God, it's effortless, right? Yeah. And it's effortless because you didn't yank the crap out of it, because it's effortless because physiologically, you're using a big muscle that takes no effort. And then on the other hand, so you put your top hand there, go back. And you know what I just did? You see how I set up the stroke? It's just like subway station. I'm planting here, I'm moving myself up to it, right? So if you want to extend your length of your stroke, you know, you want to place your blade with the bottom hand, plant it, drive it down, and I'm sitting up my shoe. You see how this is the motion you sit up with your head, yeah? Most people either paddle like this, they crouch over, right? The problem with crouching is you lock. It's not just your knees; your hips are locked. Therefore, you're unable to rotate. I always tell the guys, let's go in the boxing ring. We box like that. Yeah. Down, you punch like a little girl, right? Because if your hips are not involved in that punch or the paddle, you have no power. So let's figure out how to keep this blade planted and moving vertically, horizontally along this plane as long as possible. Once you get to the point where your body cannot keep this plane anymore, it's time to take it out. Right? So I don't want to have an artificial marker. Oh, you got to get out your knee, get out your mid-thigh, get out. I mean, we hear that a lot, right? People sometimes, oh, I started a gunner, they put tape on the canoe. Oh, this is where you're going to get the blade out. The only time I put tape is basically tape for where you want to reach personally. I'm built differently from
Kirby.
Kirby. I mean, look at how long his arms are. It's an unfair advantage. I got short arms. I get screwed that way, right? So his reach will be way longer than mine. But I find most of the time, guys who are very tall and long, that abuse their, they just throw away the advantage they paddle quick. Right? So what's the point, right? So focus on what you, and this is where you do it on the canoe, right? You got to figure out where this flexibility is. You plant it and you move it to, you got to look at the corner, right? Where the blade comes up this way, you're done, right? The problem is people start doing this right at the beginning of the stroke. All of you are doing that. You're doing this. So the boat has no chance to move forward because you're sinking it, yeah? Right?
Ian, can I please point out your lower hand for the reach, because a lot of people grip too tight.
I was just like that pull-up, yeah? I like to paddle with one finger, even when I'm training. Like when I used to coach the Keauhou boys, those guys are big. They're 240 pounds. I told them, guys, today, just give me the finger. The whole practice, the whole 1.5 hours. And they were complaining, why? Because I cannot go fast like that. Yes, you can, right? Because this stops this over gripping, right? Because this is a training aid. This is a drill. If you can paddle like holding an English teacup, you're good. There's no reason for this. Because now you have a relaxed bottom arm. So going back to what we just did here to pull up, your hook. Your hand, your finger is just a hook. Your arm is a steel cable. If you ever go to gym, you do a lat row, pulling on a cable. This is all you're doing. You're not pulling your arm. You're pulling with your, like we talked about on Thursday, right? You initiate the catch here, right? This thing is part of the cable. You're pulling your bottom lat, and then your butt muscle is pulling your back's pulling on that lat, and it's a full body workout. Just think of it this way, right? The top arm drives it on to catch it, right? And you drive it through this way. So there is pulling, but you don't pull with your arms, you pull with your core. Now most people confuse core with abdominals. Your abdominal muscles are part of your core, but it's not your core. The biggest muscle in your core is not your abdominals, it's your lat. Yeah? Those of you from medical background understand this, I agree with this. Drive it down with you. If you're not using your back muscle, even from building pyramids, that's why they have to put your back into it, right? Well, shoot. How can you not paddle without your back into it? Because then you have no power, right? So you're going to have to drive it down and use your back. Sit up with it. So you can't sit up, and just like every other thing we do in life, there's rarely something we do in life that's symmetrical force. Maybe one bench press competition, symmetrical. But everything is asymmetrical. So when we do push-ups, we always do asymmetrical. Running is asymmetrical, swimming is asymmetrical, biking is asymmetrical, paddling is asymmetrical. So you have no asymmetrical rotation, you're not going to be healthy, right? Always think about reaching forward. Pretend you're a UN diplomat. I'm just trying to simplify the thinking into what keywords in your head when you paddle, because I just explained the physics behind it. Reach, pull, right? So on Thursday, again, I didn't bring a whiteboard. I wish I could just draw on the wall. Yeah? In fact, I should permanently draw it on the wall. We have a chart. And you guys are, unlike most audiences, I know this is an educated audience. Yeah, this is your chart. On the the horizontal axis is percentage power. This horizontal axis is your time. So this is 1 second. This is your 1 second stroke in this axis. Yeah. So if I was going to plot your chart, this is your top arm. This is 0 to 100% power. The top arm power, as the stroke goes through, goes from 100 to 0. The bottom arm power goes from 0 to 100. They're inversely related. And the smoothness is your stroke, is how seamlessly you can make this transfer of power. Just like how we do with the US government. Yes? Nobody got shot. Nobody got killed. There was no revolution.
Not yet.
Not yet. But it's a smooth transition of power. It's that smooth transition of power that makes a winning crew. Guess what? It's that smooth transition of power that also prevents injuries. Agree? So the reason why your boat's jerky is because this chart is not smooth. Your bottom hand went from, instead of 0, started right at 80, and your top hand also at 100, so you suddenly do this stuff, right? Both hands pull. So when are you going to get rest? I went back to the thing, it's asymmetrical power. I'm resting this side as I work my top. Then I'm resting, halfway through the stroke, I'm resting my top, working my bottom. My change, this is resting within the stroke. Then I'm also resting within the changes, right? If you do racing, you're going to find out that rest and fatigue accumulated. That micro rest you get, the micro waste of energy you get will add up over a 5-hour period if you're doing the Molokai Channel crossing. I'm not saying that you guys do that, but it's a good discipline to have in terms of your daily training. So one of the things we talked about on Thursday is about us taking responsibility for yourself and be honest with yourself. I know supposedly this is a rec program. I think that's kind of a disservice to your thinking. There is,